Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Global Immigration and Investment Summit 2026. And this afternoon session is designed especially for Vietnamese entrepreneurs who ready for expand business in the US. And I warmly welcome our friendly, funny, and lovely sister from the US, Miss Wilka Toppins. Welcome. So our topic today is Unlock Your American Business Graduate, a practical guide for Vietnamese entrepreneurs. And we are truly honest, Ms. Wilka Toppin. Can you introduce yourself once again?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Iris, for the wonderful invitation for this conference. It's really a privilege to be here with you. My name is Wilka Toppins, and I am a U.S. Licensed corporate lawyer, business lawyer, as well as investment immigration lawyer. And so I'm here to hopefully give you some ideas and tips on doing business in America for Vietnamese entrepreneurs and companies that want to relocate and do business with us in the United States.
So to start our conversation today, I would like to know more about the reasons why U.S. is always attractive program or business for entrepreneurs in anywhere in the world, not only just Vietnamese, right? What is the reason?
Yeah, so I travel a lot around the world. I've been a lawyer over 35 years, so I've had the opportunity to work with people and companies from really all over the world. And what I find is that there is really, to do business in the United States is quite simple compared to other laws in other countries. For example, opening a company takes literally 24 hours. I can open a company for you in 24 hours in any state of America. The cost is very low. You don't need a lot of formalities. It's a very informal business system built on trust. And a lot of the systems in other countries require different levels of approvals. It requires investment certificates for foreigners, right? So in the US, as a foreigner, you can open a company and I get it to you in 24 hours. I don't need any permit from the government for you to own 100% of that company as a foreigner. So I think it helps that it's very easy. It's a simple business environment. And one of the things I want people to understand that in our system, the US, when you register a company, you register at the state level. We have 50 states, so at the state level, we don't have a federal registry of companies like maybe Vietnam and many countries. So you have to choose where do you want to do business or where do you want to live. And then that's the state that you normally would choose to register your company unless there's another reason why you need to register in another state. But that's a discussion we can have. So once you register, then you open your business. You get your tax ID. I get that in 10 days. And you're in business. You open a bank account, no problem opening a bank account. I open it in one visit. Very little documentation required. It's a capitalist society. It's set up in a way to facilitate business. So that's why I think it's easy compared to maybe other more formal systems in the world.
Okay, so what if the entrepreneur say, I want to go to the US? What is the meaning truly fun about? I want to go to US.
Yeah, so because I do also business immigration, I have a lot of clients that have obtained a US visa to live in the United States. So usually one of the main reasons is education. So our education system is valued in the world. So a lot of my clients want their children to have a US education, college, university, or master's or PhD. So that's the main reason. But then that child wants to stay and live there and work and maybe do a company. So maybe the parents at that point want to also investigate doing business, set up a company or maybe a branch, representative office of their Vietnamese company, which is very easy to do actually. So one thing is to register the company, one thing is actually working and operating the company. It's easy, it's simple, but you need to know. You need to know and be supported by advisors, because you can make some mistakes. The United States, I don't know if many of you may know, but for those of you that do not know, has 2 levels of laws, maybe 3 levels. We have the federal laws that cover the entire nation. Then you have state laws that apply for the state that you do business. And then you may have city laws for the city that you live. And if you do business, you have to comply with all 3 levels. They usually are the same. They are not too different, but sometimes they are different. And for example, California is a state that is very famous for having different laws than the federal government. And so you have to be aware of that. So you have to have advisors tell you these differences. So you go, okay, well, I can do this, but California says I can't do it, so I can't do it. Maybe Texas says you can do it. New York says you can do it, but maybe Washington, you can't do it, you know? So because we have so many different systems, 50, and then the federal government, then, you know, it may be a little confusing. So you need advisors. So it's not just registering the companies, knowing the law, how to operate your business according to where you locate your business, and it could be very different. The other issue is labor. The employment, labor laws can be very difficult. And in the US, we protect our workers very much in the laws. And so there's rules about how you pay people, when you pay people, how much hours, how many hours a person can work, what conditions that person has to have to work, taxes. So there's many, many laws, federal and state, about your employees. So you must know that, because if you violate the employment laws, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. And so there are many ways that with advisors you can avoid that situation. So you have to educate yourself and learn about these things, these requirements. And if you learn and you have good advisors, you're not going to have a problem. Okay? So just, that's what I suggest. Just always work with good legal advisors.
So you are a business advisor. I would like to add, like, in this year, for the new year coming, right? What type of business model you should recommend for everyone?
So it depends. So when I talk to foreign nationals, people outside the US, I conduct a very detailed interview. And I ask many questions. I first ask, what is your business in your home country? Do you want to have the same business in the United States? If you don't, then what is the business that you want to have? What are you interested in? Once we determine that, I can ask more questions. What is your goal? What do you want to do? Do you want to live here in the United States temporarily, just a short time, and continue to live back home? Or do you want to have more permanent presence to be able to run your business? Because then that tells me the immigration solution for you. Because even though you can own a business, as a foreigner, you cannot work on it unless you have visa. You cannot work as a tourist. Even you can own a company, but you cannot work on it. You have to hire Americans or citizens or people with authority to work. So understand that you can own it, but you can't work it. But if you want to work in your company and bring your family and other people, then you must have the immigration solution. And this is why, Iris, I tell everybody in the world, the immigration and the business go together in the United States. The two solutions have to be discussed together always, otherwise it doesn't work.
This is why our event name Immigration and Investment.
That's
Combine
right.
together.
That's right. Immigration, go together with the investment. Now, I know people that have made, investments in the United States and are not interested in immigration. I know that. Because they just want to make an investment. That's okay too. That's perfectly okay. You can have an investment, a company, but then you must hire somebody to help you manage and work the company, because you can't do it. Or maybe you want to make an investment in a passive, like a limited, where, it's like a real estate, or maybe something that doesn't need you to operate the business, passive, called passive investment. You can do that as a foreigner too. And there's no need for having employees or anything like that. And many of my clients buy real estate. They make investments in real estate. They buy properties. They rent the properties. They hire a company to help assist with the management. And they make really good money. So again, it depends what you want out of it, and then we can advise you the best way to do it. But whatever business you do, you must establish a company. There's different types of companies that you can choose, and we can tell you which one is best. But there are 4 or 5 different types of companies under the law that you can register. So always do business with under the name of a company that you own, never in your name, like personal name.
So with professional who are want to open a business in the U.S., and I believe that you have a lot of experience and open many of applications for the business, right? So do we need to open the kind of big business, like we have to spend a lot of investment amount to the U.S., or we can start with a small amount?
No, so one thing that is different, and the reason I know this is because I have a business here in Vietnam. And so I had to go through the process here, and it was very difficult, but I had good advisors. And I also have a business in Mexico, the country of Mexico, and that was very, very difficult. So I can compare how easy the American system is. So it doesn't have to be a big company. It could be a very small company to start. And a big difference is in the United States, you don't need capital, subscribe capital. There's no minimum requirement of sustained capital. You can open a company with $100, American dollars. And later, you can put more money if you need money to buy something or pay something. But there's no minimum capital required in the law, as opposed to Mexico and Vietnam. So, and many countries. So it's really, like I said, it's really easy. What I recommend to entrepreneurs is that they start small, and once they learn how to do business, then maybe they can add more business investment into the U.S. company. Okay, the banking system in the U.S. is very open. It's very easy to move money around in and out of banks. It doesn't matter you're a foreigner; you don't need a visa for that either. Just a passport. And there's no restrictions on who can open a bank account. Well, perhaps there's a couple of countries that are sanctioned by the U.S. currently, but Vietnam is not one of them, for sure. So, but fairly, 90% of the world can open a bank account in the U.S. with just a passport. That's it. They're not going to ask you for anything else.
So it's like open a business in the U.S. very simple. Just 24 hours, you can get a business license. And then they have no requirement for investment amount. Zero
requirement.
That is why U.S. business always attractive to entrepreneur.
So have you ever heard of the story of the startups? Like the system in America is interesting because it's a very entrepreneur country. So 70% of the U.S. economy is driven by entrepreneurs, small business owners. People that employ less than 10 people. That's the majority of the economy in the United States. And because of that, the system is set up for help and assistance. So, for example, if you're a small business and you need funding to grow your business, there are many government programs that you can apply to obtain funding from the government at very low interest rates. There's an agency called the Small Business Administration, the SBA, Small Business Administration. It's a federal agency. As a small business owner, you can apply for a loan, a large loan, it could be $1 million, at 2% over 30 years. 2%. Very low. So the government will provide assistance to entrepreneurs to open a business with the government, and you pay them back over time at a very low rate. Or you can pay everything, but they really do provide you a lot of help. The state also has programs that they give you microloans. They call them microloans, up to $50,000 to open a business. And there are special programs for women entrepreneurs. Women entrepreneurs have special benefits in the government, federal and state. And so as a woman opening a business, you have additional help and assistance from the government to get your business organized and funded.
So we just mentioned about investment and immigration. What if entrepreneur, they open the business and how they can convert to immigration for the children, for the family?
Right, so that's what I'm saying. I have a saying, you know, I've done immigration for so long that I always tell my clients, when there's a business, there's a visa. When there's a business, there's a visa available probably to you. Because the United States has many investment programs based on a business, you know, working and operating, so you can sponsor yourself through your own ownership of a business and a capital investment. Now, the visas do require money. The corporation law, no, but for you to get a visa, you will have to prove that you made an investment in the U.S. And depending on the visa program that you're interested, it may change the amount. So EB-5 is one, for example. L-1 is another, you know. E-2 is another visa. However, E-2 is not available to Vietnamese with Vietnamese passports. But E-2 is available to Vietnamese with another passport. So this is another reason why it's a good idea for some of you to consider another passport, like the people that presented here today, the other countries, because those countries here today give you the E-2 visa with that passport. And that investment is as low as $100,000. So really it's a good benefit to you. So there's many ways, depending, you know, on the visa that you want. Through your own company, you can sponsor yourself and bring your family into the United States and bring employees as well from Vietnam. Mm-hmm.
So as you are like corporate tax lawyer too?
The what, I'm sorry?
The corporate tax lawyer?
Yeah, the corporate tax. So the system in the U.S. is a federal tax system. And you have personal income tax. Your tax on your personal income after all expenses on your taxable income. And then you have the corporate tax or business tax that is separate. And it depends how you structure your business. Sometimes, if you're not structured the right way, you're gonna pay double tax. That's not good. We wanna avoid that. So we would advise you in a way that you only pay one tax, one level of tax. Taxes right now, personal are running anywhere from 15% to a 37% top for the richest people. And for corporate tax, it's about 20% right now of the net income. So in the US, you don't pay tax on your net worth or your assets, you pay tax on your income. So the idea here is to lower your income that you legally report on your tax return. So the income is what gets taxed, okay? So there's many legal strategies to avoid taxation and reduce your tax liability. And I say that anyone that has, you know, money or a good business should always be talking to a tax advisor to do planning and strategy to lower your taxes. I do it, everybody does it, and there's many, many, many ways to do so. So that's a discussion for, obviously, more discussion on that. But it's a system that works, and it's useful to work with tax advisors that can advise you on the best way to structure your assets. So we sometimes use, for example, trust. I don't know the word in Vietnam, but trust. We use asset protection vehicles. We use limited partnerships, like family limited partnerships.
In the U.S., maybe more advantage. So what if the Vietnamese, they open the business in the U.S., but not the passport can get E2 visa? What different task between two passport, Vietnamese and another company like Grenada?
So what happens is the E2 visa, so there's 3 investor visas in the U.S. You've got the EB-5, which is the direct path to the green card. That's one step, one application, boom, you're done. But that's 800,000, right? Then the second level is the E2 treaty investor. We call that the small investor. So the E2 is you have your own business, you own your business, you put your money in your business, you operate your business, and you get your E2 visa. It could be as low, there's no magic number in the E2, but it could be as low as $50,000, $80,000, $100,000, whatever the business needs. So let's say you decide to open a restaurant. Well, maybe the restaurant costs you $100,000 to open, and that's what you put. That's it. Nobody's going to question that. And then you get your E2. The E2 usually is approved for 4 years, and it's temporary residence. It's not green card. It's a temporary residence for 4 years. But you can renew forever. You can be on E2 forever, okay? But it's not a green card, okay? Now, the problem with Vietnam is that Vietnam doesn't qualify for E2, or China doesn't, India doesn't, Brazil doesn't. The rest of the world does. So Vietnam does not. So what we do with Vietnamese and Chinese clients, or Brazilian clients and Indian clients, is we get a different country passport. And once they secure a passport that's eligible for the E2, then they can do that, right? So that's how we get around that. So that's an advantage or alternative for you. The other one is the L1 visa, which is the executive transfer visa, which means you set up a company in America that is controlled by your Vietnamese company. And then you sponsor yourself. And you go over there to work. Again, that's not a green card. That's a temporary visa for 7 years, up to 7 years. But you can get a green card later through the same visa in about a couple of years. So there's like 3 different ways that you could structure your business to allow you to do the immigration, whether it's temporary or green card. Okay?
So how we can convert from temporary to a green card?
Different visa programs. You have to apply to a different visa. For example, the L1 is temporary up to 7 years, and we have to renew every 3 years up to maximum 7 years. And then normally in year number 2, we apply for green card called the EB1C, multinational manager. And that one is a green card. But the thing is, the business has to work. It has to be growing and successful. So you have to keep that in mind. You still have to have a business, and you still have to work the business and show that you have a good business. And then the government will agree, hopefully, and then you'll get the green card.
What's kind of good business?
Well, profitable. Well,
Just say that, so I have to ask you.
Well, a good business is a business that's growing. You know, you invested, maybe you started with a small investment, you bought a property, a restaurant, or whatever you did, and then, you know, you hire more people, and you grow, and you make money, and you have good sales. That's a business that qualifies, that is, you can show it's growing, it's actually developing. And through that effort, the United States will say, okay, you can stay and continue working on your business, and we're going to give you a green card. That's how it works. But you have to show that you have grown your business. And you have 7 years to do it. So I think the way they look at it is, look, if you are not growing your business in 7 years, go home. It's like, you're done. So it's sort of like, we're going to give you up to 7 years to be successful and grow your business and show us that you deserve a green card and a passport from the U.S. and all that, because you're a good businessman or businesswoman. So you have to show that, and then they will agree, and hopefully we do a good presentation for you, and you get it. And we do all the time. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say someone wants to open a business in the U.S. and they want to have the package, like they have to bring their family to go to U.S. too. Which kind of visa you recommendation in 2026?
Well, right now, because E2 is not available to Vietnamese unless you have a different passport, your only two options are EB5, which is very fast-paced, very quick, very easy. Of course, more money, you know. And the other way is the L1 visa. But the L1 visa you have to have a company in Vietnam. So it has to be a company in Vietnam first, and your own company, and then you open a branch over there. And that's how it works. Now, the good thing on the L1, I want you to remember, is that it doesn't have to be the same business that you have in Vietnam. So let's say you have a hotel in Vietnam, or a store, or restaurant, or spa, or coffee shop, or whatever you have in Vietnam, or manufacturing plant. You can open whatever you want, whatever business you want in the US. It doesn't have to be the same, okay? Many Vietnamese, and I've worked with many Vietnamese doing L1s, all successful, all, without exception. I work with them, and what they do is they buy a business that's already open. You can acquire somebody's business. And that's easy because the business is already working. It's already got employees, it's got a bank account, it's got everything ready. So you buy the stock of the company, and then you get the visa very fast. And now you have a company that already is successful, and then you can move to the EB1C within a year. So that's, to me, personally, is my recommendation that you do, but you don't have to do that. You can do your own company from zero and build it up and whatever you want to do, but it's easier if you buy a business, I think, but you don't have to do that.
So what if you can give everyone a checklist if they want to open the business? What step is to do?
Checklist. So I think, first of all, again, what is it that you want to do? Where do you want to live? We'll have a consultation. Normally, we start with a consultation where we just understand what your plan is. And if you already have a plan, then we can help you step by step, open the company, get the tax ID, open the bank account, look at the immigration, what kind of business will support your visa, and move on from there. If you tell me, and many of my clients say, I have no idea what to do.
So I have an idea. I want to open the pho restaurant.
Yes.
Yes. Is this work?
Absolutely.
So what I should do?
The first thing I do you want to open a new one, or do you want to buy one that's already open that you can just buy? There's many pho, restaurants or franchises that you can buy a franchise. And you don't have to invent everything from zero. You already have a system. I would say I would introduce you to the company that already in business, and you negotiate, I help you negotiate a business deal so you can open a branch of that restaurant. And they already have the support. That could be a way of doing it. Maybe you want to, I'm working right now with a Vietnamese company that's opening a distribution center for their products. They sell products made in Vietnam. They sell through Amazon. So they open a distribution company in the US to do direct sales to customers. So they set up a company. They rented a warehouse, a big place. They brought the product in, and now we're getting the visa. And then once they get the visa, they come in and they start working with customers. And they will eventually hire people and get trucks for delivery and move on. That's it. So the US company buy the product from Vietnamese company and resell it to the customer in the US, right? So that's always a good business plan. I have companies that have, actually, I am the lawyer for Ving Group in America. I do all of their immigration for that, the Ving Group family of all of them. I've been their lawyer since 2021. I do all of their immigration in America. And that big company, which you're familiar, does quite a bit of visas. They do L1 visas. And they have moved 60 families, maybe more. So quite a bit of investment because they open an auto distribution and sales company in California, and they also open a manufacturing facility and other things. So it's all public information. I'm not telling you anything that's not, you can find on the internet. But I do all of their immigration, and that company decided to do L1 visas because that's the correct visa for them. So that's a big company, with many powerful and good money, but you don't have to be that big. You can be a small company and still be able to get your business going. So it all starts with a consultation, a discussion, then it goes on to planning, and now we have the plan that will work. Then we go step by step along the way until you're there, and then if you need help with laws, understanding, we provide training on employment law and business law and regulations so you understand how you need to run your company. And I recommend that you hire a partner in America to help you in the first few years until you learn everything. That's always a good idea.
Yeah, that's good to know more about the checklist you just give for everyone. Another thing I really consider about tax. Because most of business owners, they care more about tax. The business the tax more important, right?
That's one thing. Look, in the United States, I always say, in the United States, they leave you pretty alone. You can do whatever you want. Like the government will not interfere with your business at all unless taxes. That's one thing they will. So you need to understand the system and always comply with the tax laws. That's very important. That's the only time the government will come and go, hey, taxes. You're not reporting, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Other than that, they kind of leave you alone. So that's the one thing you need to know. And look, I have two businesses. I have a law firm and a consulting company and a rental company. I rent properties. And I'm a lawyer with 30-something years of experience, and I don't know all the tax laws. Okay, because that's not my expertise. I know enough, but not all of it. So I personally hire an advisor. I work with a tax advisor to advise me on my obligations because I want to make sure that I'm not doing something wrong. And as a lawyer, I could be in a lot of trouble as a lawyer if I do something wrong. So I have to make sure, extra sure that I'm doing the right thing. So I personally work with a company, CPA, which is a certified public accountant company, and they do all my taxes. And we meet 3 times a year to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly and that all the reports are being filed. And, I'm learning strategies, and I get advice on every year what to do. And it's not very difficult, but you have to do that. You cannot do it alone. And imagine me with all my experience, and I still have to get advice. So imagine somebody from another country that doesn't know. So that's the main thing. That's the one thing that you can't play with. Yeah.
We have 3 things we have to prepare: the business advisor, tax advisor, and immigration.
Yeah, and sometimes the business and the immigration is rolled into one, like me. I combine the two. So I'm a corporate lawyer, business advisor, and I'm an immigration expert. So I do both. And then in your case, you will probably need a tax advisor, advisory services. I don't do that. And that would be perfect for you to have everything you need to understand how to run your business.
But you just say that you are not tax advisor. However, I think you can give everyone advice about what are different tasks of green card and E2 visa or L1 visa.
Oh, it's the same. There's no difference.
Yeah.
So let me explain this. the federal government, the taxation at the federal level, which is the main tax, it doesn't matter your immigration status, honestly. Any income in the US will be taxed in the US, and you have to report it and pay on your taxable income.
But what is different with the globally tax?
Well, that's what I'm going to explain. So one thing is the reporting, one thing is the payment. So you have to report taxes earned in the US. If you are a non-immigrant, meaning you don't have a green card, then you don't have to pay or report on your global income. If you become a US citizen or you become a lawful permanent resident or green card holder, then you have to report your global income. Now, listen to what I just said, because there's a big confusion in the world about this. You have to report your global income. I did not say pay. I said report. Now, whether you have to pay in the US, that's a different question that is solved by the tax advisor, right? So there's a reporting obligation. Sometimes you have to pay in the US, sometimes you do not, depending on your personal situation and your tax advisor recommendation. And that's a topic that I don't have time to discuss here, because that would take me an hour to discuss that. But there are many people that report and pay in their home country, okay? And they take a tax credit. And that's complicated to explain right now. So what I'm saying is, yes, sometimes if you are a green card holder or citizen, you may have to pay taxes on your global income in the US. Underscore may, possibly, but not 100%, okay? It depends on your planning, and it depends on your advisor recommendation on what you need to do under the law. Sometimes you don't. Now, if you're a non-immigrant, meaning if you're not in the US permanently, there are many ways that you don't have to do that. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, of course.
Okay, it's a little complicated, and again, I'm not a tax advisor or financial advisor, I'm a corporate lawyer. I don't want you to take tax advice from me. I am communicating to you what I know because my clients are living it right now. So this is what I know from what my clients are telling me and my tax advisors are telling me. But your situation may be different. So you need to get tax advice on your particular situation.
Yeah, I do ask you that question because if someone want to get green card, they have to pay the global tax for the U.S. government, of course. But if someone don't want to pay global tax because they have the business in here, right? Mm-hmm. They can get this different kind of visa, like issue.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that would be a way to do temporary visa. And then you have, there is a formula in the tax treaty, in the tax code of the United States, that if you exceed certain days, like I think it's 6 months, 180 days, 183 days, 183 days to be exact, if you exceed that over a 3-year period every year, then you subject yourself to potential global taxation. So I have very wealthy clients from Dubai and from Europe and Mexico, and they have E2 visas, and they don't stay more than 183 days in the United States. They stay out, they watch their time, and they spend half the year in the US, half the year outside of the US, and they avoid the global taxation. So there, like I said, there's many strategies to deal with the problem. You just have to get the advice, okay? There is always a solution. So my advice to you is don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. Ask questions, get advice, and then make your decision. And it may be that for you it's a good solution, maybe it's not a good solution. There are some people that it's not a good solution. There are some people that it's not a good idea to become a US citizen or become a lawful permanent resident. I know some people that it's not a good idea because of their situation, financial or personal. But other people can definitely do it. And it's not something they can manage. Okay?
Okay, I guess that our time is run now, so maybe we will final our conversation.
Thank you.
Anything you want to give for our investor who want to open their business in the U.S. or expand their business from Vietnam to the U.S.? Anything you want to share with us from your experience?
Yeah, I think this is my piece of advice because I've been doing this for like 35 years. So thousands of people have come through me. So listen to your advisor. Please listen.
You are advisor.
Me or tax or whoever. Because I think this is what happens. A lot of people are very good at what they do in their home country. Like you're very successful in Vietnam. You have a big company, you're a big executive, you're owner, you're very smart, and you're very, very rich and very successful in Vietnam or your home country. But that does not mean that you're gonna be successful in America or any country. Like me, you know, I got what I got in America. I'm good there because I know that system. But I don't know Vietnam. I don't know your system. I don't know your taxes. I don't know your laws. I don't know your employment law. I don't know anything. I really don't. So everything I do here, I have to ask questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? What about this? You know, I have to get a lawyer. I have to get a tax person, an accountant, advisor. I have to do it here. So always be humble and understand that even though you're very successful where you are, that doesn't mean you're going to be successful over there. And you still have to rely and listen to the advice. Because I think we believe that we know better. Like, oh, I know better. I'm very good. I'm very smart. You know, oh, I know better. No, you don't. Not over there. You don't. Not now. Maybe later. But there's learning that needs to happen. So please listen to your advisors. And the last comment I will make is, every time you go to a different country, and this applies anywhere, not just America, you have to work with local people. Please. Don't run a Vietnamese company in America. Run an American company with Vietnamese people. You heard me? Don't run a Vietnamese company in America. Run an American company with Vietnamese people working. That's different. It's like me here. I can't run an American company here. It's not going to work. I have to run a Vietnamese company and hire Vietnamese employee and managers because they know I don't. And I have to listen to what they're saying. And sometimes I don't listen, but I try to listen. It's hard to listen. It's very hard because you think you know, but you don't. And sometimes I'm like, well, why like that? Why you do it that way? And my manager, my country manager, she's sitting over there, Vivian, she's like, because in Vietnam, that's the way we do things. And I'm like, okay, I understand. So I must respect the law, and I must do the Vietnamese way. So same thing over there, you have to understand. And then once you understand and you listen to your managers and your advisors, then you're gonna be super successful, I think, because now you have a country, an economy that's very supportive of, and a huge country with many, many customers. So I hope this helps you, and I'm here to assist you if you need anything. I wish you the best luck and success this year. And if you do become successful, let me know. When you're over there, please call me and let me know that you're there and that you're very successful, and I'll be happy for you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wilka, for valuable information and sharing today. And our Immigration and Summit, proud and honored to have you today. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
See you until we see you, okay?